bakalım. Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to another seminar of Tourism and Hotel Management Department of Bilkent University. Today we are with Burçin Türkkan. She is a graduate of our department, 97 graduate of our department. She is the recent president of SKAL International, which is a great honor and a great, well, she's our proud. We are very proud of her. I'd like to introduce her to you before I give the floor to her. Actually, she is an entrepreneur. She already has 2 consulting firms. She founded the first firm in Istanbul in 1999. Then she started her firm in the United States. She is the founder and managing director of USEH, International HR firm. She is offering international talent management for hospitality industry for 22 years. Actually, she is also one of the associate partners with American Hospitality Academy, with which they are offering culinary diploma programs for with 4 international campuses around the world. Recently, in the year 2021, she founded another international talent and experience consulting company. Actually, the name is International Talents and Experiences in Canada. This is also an HR consulting company, and she founded this company with 2 fellow colleagues in Quebec, Canada. She has a certified hospitality instructor designated by AHLIE, graduate certificate in leadership in 21st century organizations by Copenhagen Business School. And she has her Bachelor's of Science degree from Bilkent University Tourism and Hotel Management program. She is currently pursuing her MBA degree at Johnson & Wales University. And she is going to graduate this fall, year 2022. She started her career 26 years ago working at Setur, one of the Turkish travel agencies, which is one of the biggest in the world. And she is also an educator because she started teaching at AHLA in Turkey and Başkent University, and she taught hospitality and HR courses. What else? She, as of 2022, her career evolved to include several other successful entrepreneurship, such as business consulting to international investors interested in starting business in the United States or finding business investment partners within the United States. She studied, worked, and lived in 6 different countries. And for the past 22 years, she is living in one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, Atlanta. She stays active with weight trainings, play tennis. She also ski and loves traveling. Most importantly, she's a proud single mom of a young, beautiful 15-year-old junior chef, Burçin Zencirli, Food Network's Chopper Junior Champion year 2017. Lovely to have you, Burçin. Lovely to see you. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to be with you all today. On this special day. Happy International Women's Day to everyone here at Bilkent University, around the globe, my fellow SKAL women, everyone. Yeah, it's been over 25 years. It's you know, my times at Burçin University was really memorable, of course. So it is my pleasure to be with you all today. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much for coming and accepting this seminar. Thank you very much being with us today. We'd like to know more about you and how you did, because as a woman in the industry, you know, what you did is amazing. You also have two international firms. You founded two international firms. And besides that, you are right now the president of SKAL International, which is one of the biggest professional organizations in tourism. So how did you make it? Well, how would you like to start?
Yes. Well, I'd like to start with, well, let's talk about SKAL maybe, because, you know, the seed of being a SKAL member, that actually happened when I was studying at Burçin University. The atmosphere was amazing. I really like the way that the relationship we had with our instructors, you know, having 20 to 25 people in the classroom, that gave us the opportunity to really focus on the topics that were discussed. We were having our discussions, we're able to ask questions. So it was a really, you know, it's really important as an individual, and especially as a female, as a woman, to be able to express yourself, you know, to be able to, you know, ask questions, get answers and all that. And I've seen a great respect at Burçin University towards the students and from every background, every level, you know. So I think that kind of, you know, gives you the confidence that, you know, in that environment, you can ask questions, you can get answers, you can achieve projects, you know, that are given, that prepares you for the later, you know, projects in life. And that's how I felt. I think, you know, because we were always given, you know, the way that the courses were instructed at Burçin University, where, you know, we were given topics, we were given targets, and, you know, and then it was up to us to set our goals and achieve those. And I think that's a way to start life. And after graduation, for me, I followed the same principles. So starting with, you know, my business, I would say, well, after graduation, I actually wanted to have an academic career first. You know, that was my goal. So that's why I started teaching. And then I was teaching, you know, part-time at Burçin University, and American Hotel and Lodging Association had a program at Burçin. So, but with that, because of my background, my dad was a diplomat, so I lived in different countries, and knowing, you know, how your vision changes living in different countries. So I was getting questions from the students about, you know, opportunities abroad. So, and with that, you know, I did start making some research. What are the opportunities for, you know, hospitality students to go abroad and, you know, have some work experiences and all that. And that's how I discovered that there are a lot of opportunities offered by different countries, especially United States, you know, in terms of different types of visas where people could go and get experiences. And with that, you know, while trying to help the students, you know, a light bulb appeared, and like, well, this could be a good business. Why not, you know, put it as a, you know, start my own business and, you know, be an entrepreneur with that. And that's how I decided to start my company. And it started small, you know, first you want to serve what's around you. And then, but then to me, sky is the limit. So why not go after, you know, like, how can, you know, can I make this bigger? So going to the resources and, you know, looking for better opportunities, you know, setting more targets. That's how I ended up, you know, starting a company in the United States. Because when I came here, meeting the partners that, you know, who were offering these kind of, you know, opportunities in US, it's like, why not? Why can I not start this here myself? So how can I do this? And I started to research, and then you learn the rules, and then, okay, well, let me try it. And then, so it's always about, you know, there is no limit. I mean, the limit is what you can achieve. So I think it's all about setting a target and then going after it. And I kind of was fearless, I guess, in that perspective. So that's how I proceeded with all that in terms of business side. And with SKAL, it was like, THM, he's a SKAL member, and, we had several other, SKAL members at school. So, they would talk about SKAL. They would have their sometimes luncheons at the practice kitchen. We have the restaurant. And then, during the career days, we would have these professionals come and join us, and they were SKAL members. They would talk about SKAL, and me not knowing what I want to be in the future, I was like, wow, these are the people I read about in the newspapers, or magazines, and then you have your role models, your professors, and like, they're SKAL members. And I wasn't sure what I wanted. I said I wanted to have an academic career. Then I turned into be an entrepreneur, So I was like, whatever, I want to be a member of this organization because these are great people. And if I become a member, I will be a part of this network. So that's how my interest in SKAL started. But SKAL is a global organization. It's in over 100 countries. It's all decision makers, mostly, executives. So to me, during my student years, I was like, it's a dream becoming a SKAL member, basically being at the same level with those people, right? So I said, okay, well, and there wasn't a young SKAL at that time. Now there is the opportunity. You can become a young SKAL, start early, get into these connections now, which, to all the hospitality students out there at Burçin University, I highly recommend them to become a young SKAL member because it gives you an access to this network early, because it's all about who you know in the industry. So I was like, okay, I want to be a member, but I have to be ready because there was no young SKAL and there were qualification requirements. So after about 15 years later, when I was in Atlanta, when I felt ready, okay, well, I think I'm ready. I can be a SKAL member. I looked for the club myself. I contacted headquarters and I said, do you have a club in Atlanta? And they were like, yes, we do. They put me in contact. I went to their meeting and I became a member in 2007. And after that, the journey started, every club has their own. I don't know if you want me to go into those details, but I'd love to. I always love to talk about SKAL, but, the clubs they meet once a month and they have their boards, the clubs are involved in all kinds of community work, other than being decision makers in the industry. Every SKAL club serves to their community, what's happening in their city, how can they help, those in needs, etc. So I started to get involved in projects, and then, I was invited to join the board of Atlanta. So I joined the board, and then, when you join the board, you go through the chairs. So I went through the chairs, and in 2014, I became Atlanta president. And at the end of my presidency, I ran for the national office, SKAL USA board, because besides local chapters, there are national committees, like Turkey has a, national committee as well. So in US, we have currently we have about 47 clubs. So I ran for the elections and became a member of the national board. And and I ran through the chairs on the national board of the United States. And in 2018, I became the president of SKAL USA, representing United States for the entire year. And then in 2019, I ran for the international board, and I became a member of the executive board of SKAL International. So in my third year now, I am the president. It is earlier than planned, but I'm always up for the challenge. I'm always ready to take on whenever I am needed, and that's why I accepted the role. And facing a very important year. We are after pandemic, now facing a war. So yeah, it is going to be an exciting, interesting, challenging year. But myself and my executive board, we are ready to take it on.
Wonderful. Well, it's amazing. Everything started at Burçin University. You were admiring your instructors at Burçin because they were SKAL members, and then now you are the president of SKAL International all over the world. How many members there are?
Well, we
SKAL?
have, currently we have 12,500 members in 100 countries. We have 323 clubs. So, of course, this year our goal is, every year the goal is to grow membership. But this year we want to approach in a different strategy. This year we'd like to grow SKAL International, not just focusing on individual clubs increasing memberships, but the growth strategy is, why not start new SKAL clubs in new cities and new countries? So, you know, statistically, there are over 10,000 cities around the globe. We are only in 323, you know, so you do the math. Why can't we, you know, grow ourselves and, you know, expand to new cities? So of course, that's the strategy, that's the goal this year. And that's why we initiated some committees, you know, supporting this mission as well. So yeah, hopefully we'll see how that goes this year.
Wonderful. You know, on this special day, International Women's Day, did you face with challenges along the way? What would you, you know, suggest, advise our students? Actually, right now we have two of our, well, one of a graduate, one of a student right now. They're both ladies. So do you have some suggestions to her, to them, sorry? What advice you would give them?
Well, you know, my advice would be to always, you know, just like I did said, your limit is the sky. You know, I have a daughter and I also give her the same advice. You can be anything you want. You can be anyone you want. It's all about deciding what you want to be. Just set your goals, you know yourself and set your goals and go for it. And you know, you have to set your goals high so you can, you know, the most get closest to it. So so you know, my suggestion for them will be to, you know, be fearless in this world. You know, it's there's never a failure. I never see, you know, when you are unable to reach a goal, it means that maybe you need to try a different way. There's always, you know, if there is a problem, you know, there's always a solution. If you have a goal, you know, maybe there's not one way to reach it. Try the one way. If it doesn't work, look for another way. So I'm always pro solution. I always think that there is always a way to achieve a solution to reach a goal. It's just about the way you pick it. So so that's what will be my recommendation, to be fearless and just go after your goals, your dreams.
And never give up, I think.
Never give up. Yes. There's never a failure. It's just, you know, a failure. It's a temporary, you know, not reaching your goal. You know, you can reach it. Just try it again. You know, it's just learning a lesson. Failure to me, it's just you learn a lesson and, you know, it's your chance to try it again with, you know, experience. So, yeah. Very
good. What about being an entrepreneur? You founded a company in Istanbul. Actually, it is the same company, right? And then you started in Atlanta.
Correct. Yes.
Kind of a branch. How did it happen?
Yeah. Well, I started the company in Turkey when as I said, realized that, you know, while I was giving advice, and I realized this is a business field, and it was in Turkey, it wasn't, there was no one else who was doing it at that time, the way we were doing it. So it was the first. So, and just, you know, I like to go very systematically with things and based on the rules. So to start a company, what do you need? I consulted a lawyer, I consulted a CPA, and I said, I want to start a company. This is what I want to do. What do I have to do? And they gave me the advice and I just went for it. And then of course, you know, it's all about, you know, as a business, you're setting your, you know, who are you appealing to, you know, you make your marketing plans, etc. But then of course, you know, my business was directly targeting United States, doing business in United States. So, and I've been traveling to United States to meet the partners that I have been communicating, you know, via email and all that. But I do believe in making doing business in person. It's really important that, and especially coming from, a different part of the world, it's important that people do see you in person, and the body language is important, the energy is important. So I like to meet in person. So when I came to United States to meet all these partners that I work with and the clients, I was like, well, why, I thought about the future, that it would be really ideal to have a business in the United States. And again, with curiosity, as an entrepreneur, you have to be curious. You have to look for, what can I do next? And I was like, what are the terms and conditions to start a business in the United States? And that's what I look into. And I was, that time, lucky it was before September 11. After September 11, the terms and conditions to start a business in the United States have changed. So, and again, I followed the same principles. I consulted with a lawyer, I consulted with a CPA. I asked, what do I need to do? And they guided me, and I started the business and followed the same principles. But what happened is the business here is a separate business than, the one that I started in Istanbul. So then, in a year later, I transferred myself as an officer to the office in the United States. And that's how my journey in the United States started in 2001. And since then, I've been living in the United States. But the company in Turkey is still operating as well. So yeah, as an entrepreneur, again, when you're an entrepreneur, you need to be curious. You need to be, it's very important that you follow the rules, consult with the right people. I mean, no one knows everything. It's impossible. You always have to have a good team. You have to create your own good team. First, legal aspects, very important, set those boundaries up, do everything based on the rules. And then, your operational and marketing plan comes in, you create a team who helps you with that. So it's always a teamwork. Everything is a teamwork. Also in SKAL International, it's, being the president, it doesn't mean anything if you don't have the executive board, if you don't have the team around you. And that's why, we created the committees this year, because, we have 12,000 members. Everyone is decision makers, experts. So my thought was, why not create a bigger team? Why can't we get their support and their input? Because, together we are really stronger. So that's always, the mentality. And then, and again, when you're, doing your own business, is the same thing. At that point, you started as one, but then you have to create that team. It's always a teamwork.
How many people there are in your team right now, in your consulting?
Well, with the pandemic, of course, we did shrink a little bit our teams. And also, the technology, as it improves, it does give you, some substitute, right now in Atlanta, we have 5 employees in our office. And in Istanbul, we have 3. So this is our current structure. And in Canada, we have 3 team members right now.
Wonderful. And actually, you started your company in 1999 in Istanbul, and then in 2 years' time, you founded your company in the United States. It's a very short time.
Yep.
You acquired enough experience to start your company in the United States in just 2 years' time.
Yes.
How does this happen? Well, you mentioned the education that you received at Bilkent, but
yeah, it does the education, and then also being a little bit fearless. As I said, as an entrepreneur, you need to be curious, you need to be fearless, and you need to take on opportunities. So after consulting and understanding what is needed, and then just analyzing, is it doable? And at that point, you have to make the decision to try it or not. And as I said, I don't believe in failures. I mean, it's just, you fail. When you fail, it's an experience to try it again. And you start from a better perspective, because with that experience, you won't make that mistake. So, you just go for it. And that's what I did. And maybe, also some luck, the universe is with you, helps you with, the decisions you make. So, yeah, so, and it did, go well. I did have a really good consulting, and I still work with the same law office and the same CPA that I've been working for, since starting my business. And in fact, I did mention to you our internal team, but we have global partners too. We have 15 international partners. So, and as I said, when I started with some local, government agency partners and some clients, the hotels and all that. We're still working with the same partners that we started 20 years ago. And I am proud of that, because this shows that, that we have been creating that bond, that, understanding of, teamwork not only within ourselves, but also, within the United States and internationally with the partners we work with. So I think it's really important.
Very good. I am going to ask one last question, and then I'm going to leave the floor to our guests, audiences. They may have some questions. My last question is, since you have a consultancy, and you are kind of looking for talent, right? How do you understand somebody is with a talent?
Well, the way we approach our talent search is based on the requirements that we get from our clients, which are, in this case, the hotels that we work with. So we do have profiles set up based on the request. And when we have an candidate that applies to us, so they have to go through a screening process, and there are about 10 key points that we review their profile. The communication skills are very important, because in today's world, that's the key, in order to succeed in any platform, that you have, great communication skills. It's not only the fluency in the language and speaking ability, but also, the person's level of empathy, professionalism, the way they present themselves. That's all very important. And especially in the hospitality industry, that's the key, keeping in mind the first impression is the last impression. So, that's what we are, and that's most of our clients, what they're looking for. And that's what we are looking in reviewing the talent as well. And of course, there are key points about their technical qualifications, certain things that, we do try to understand and assess, with their knowledge and abilities. Yeah, it is a screening process that they go through. And usually our initial screening process is about 15 to 20 minutes that, we assess them with certain questions, and then it follows with some documentation.
All right, wonderful. Maybe, well, we have Rüya with us. She may ask questions around that, but I see in the chat that Alton C. Tan is with us. He's the International Counselor, SKAL, Philippines, and Chairman of SKAL International Manila. Welcome, Mr. President. It's great to see you here. Today, actually, I was in contact with your embassy here in Ankara, because we are going to have some exchange agreements with universities in the Philippines. Lyceum of the Philippines, one of them, and the other one is De La Salle College, and then there is Sto Thomas. So it's great to see you with us today, and it's such a coincidence. Thank you very much for joining us.
Great to have you, Alton.
Right. Akın Okyay has also joined from Ankara SKAL. All right, nice to see all of you. Do you have questions for Burçin? Yes, shall we start with Aykut Hocam? Tekin Hocam? Okay.
Shall I start or?
Aykut Hocam, all right? Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I hope it's not about accounting. And I gotta tell you, you're gonna be proud of me. I got A's from finance and accounting
and management, so many things. So I just say this, SKAL International is a very, very important organization because it is including the hotels, travel agencies, restaurants, everything.
Yes.
And now I'm trying to understand the strength of this SKAL International. What is the strength of this organization? Now, generally, we make the plans for the tourism sector, and we are focusing on the uncontrollable things, right? Uncontrollable. So we're expecting the tourists from other countries, Russia, Ukraine, etc., etc. So they are not coming. Something's happening, and we are in difficulty because we are making a plan, and then which is the goal is not a real goal, that we say. So we are trying to saying that yeah, it will be realized, and we do our plans accordingly. But actually, it's not the case. So I'm trying to understand the strength because I know that there are many hotels are closed, many people lost their jobs, and then these are critical people. I mean, these are critical for the hotel, and if you let them go, and then how will you find a new one? Right? Mm-hmm. It's difficult to continue the quality level. Right? The quality is decreasing. So. You are the top person in the SKAL International, and then I'm not wondering the leading. How will you lead them in these critical circumstances? How will you lead the other organization? How will you help the other organization to stay on their foot? I mean, that's very difficult to do. Mm-hmm. And now I'm trying to understand this in our country, the SKAL Federation, the SKAL clubs are organized under a federation. So they are trying to do something, but they are not also controlling because the government making the plans, and actually it's not realized, and then you now see the situation. So what's your plan? I mean, how will you help these types of organizations to stay on their feet and help the people in the organization? Because you know that the tourism is the leader in the service industry. If there's no the leader and making the money from this, and then feeding so many people, etc., in our country, everywhere in the world. So I'm trying to understand from your point of view, what to do. I mean, in these circumstances, how will you help these organizations continue being in the market? Thank you, Burçin.
Thank you very much. And you touched a very important point, and it is very critical this year, especially before I started my term, before even the elections, I've been giving some speeches, and I was emphasizing for the fact that we need to make our organization more relevant. We need to, and the relevance has to come from the perspective that, yes, you are right, we are the largest travel tourism association, and we are embracing 40 categories within the industry. So with that, we are an organization that has the strength of holding the pulses from 40 different categories. Now, I am representing only one of them, but we have representation from all of them with 12,000 members. So for that reason, from the beginning, we initiated these committees. I decided to initiate 8 committees. So we have, one is the governance committee. We need a restructure in our governance. We need to make this organization attractive for the future generations. We need to, make this organization structure, the way that is managed, embracing all of the clubs around the globe, being more active in the management of this organization. So that's that. Then we have our statutes bylaws committee that will help the governance committee When we do this restructure, it needs to be implemented. This year, it's all about execution. Every committee that is created, we need to get results. So this, the Statutes and Bylaws Committee is going to make these changes implementable. We have Advocacy and Global Partnership Committee, and this one is actually the most important one and relevant to what you are saying. We are an organization with about 15 partnerships. We have association partnerships globally, but we are only working with 3 or 4 of them actively, which is, UN, WTO, WTTC, and EGPAT code, which are 1 now. But we have only logo exchanges. Why can't we work on projects? Now, during these times when tourism is fluctuating because of situations that are unforeseeable and uncontrollable, at least what we can do and we should do is bring all these brains together, create think tanks and plan for the future, because these days are going to pass, and we need to be ready, what comes after this. So we need to be ready, to take on when, and we need to have our A, B, C, D plans. Okay. So what if this continues more? What are we going to do? What if this ends tomorrow? How are we going to be ready? So it's the pandemic, it's the war. So you're right. We as the organization, we need to do something, but there are things we can't control. But what we can control is we can plan things, because we are all, with a certain level of education, experience in the industry, and that's what we should do. And that's what everyone is expecting, to put our voice out there, to point out what are the global issues that our members who are within this industry are having, and how can we help them to overcome that. So that's why we have this committee, and they already started a great work. They have, diversified to subcommittees for sustainability, which is the hot topic. And it's really important for the next generation, as you know. And, sexual exploitation of children is another subcommittee. Pandemic, recovery is another subcommittee. So they are now brainstorming with ideas and project ideas to come up, and then picking out what other global partners can we work with, but do active work, like do actual work, projects, help people out there. I mean, again, I always say it's a teamwork, and we can't do things ourselves alone. We need to partner with people who are on the field, expert, in their field. So that's, what we need to do. And this committee is working on that. And then we need to put our voice out there. Sometimes we make statements alone, but sometimes let's partner with other associations on the topics and put, advocate on topics and discuss, the future of the industry. And, so I think, this is how we're going to succeed. We do have other committees like the Technology Committee. As you know, digital transformation is very, important and in. We do have the Training and Education Committee, and THM is a part of it. And it's about developing leaders. As SKAL, an issue with SKAL is, it's not an issue, but something that we really need to overcome is developing leaders. We are an aging organization, but you need to also understand we are not alone in this. Many associations are like that, because we are a 90-year-old organization, almost 9 decades we've been living. So, there are changes happening with the pandemic. Economies have changed. The industry, the way it works, it changes. Like you said, there is an HR shift. We are losing people from this industry. They are going to other industries because we are so fragile. So we need to find ways. How can we keep them in the industry? Like I recommend when I do, I'm sure you at Burçin University are discussing this, but how are we going to prepare the future generation for the changing operation? Like now AI is taking over. I mean, the hotels are looking into more automation. So when I talk to the students, when they say, is this the wrong time to study hospitality? Should we change? I'm like, no, this is the best time, because now you are needed. Now there is a need. But at the same time, I think, the schools need to be also ready for the fact that in the future, there will be less need for some positions, but there will be more need for more qualified, educated hospitality students who can manage the AI technology, or whatever technology is coming in the human resources, in the operations. So it will probably, the hospitality education in the future would, need more technological components. So it is all of our responsibility to discuss all this and give the advice to our people within the organization so everyone can take it back and implement it. Because again, we have to do it together. It's our responsibility. We need to make the hospitality industry interesting, fun, and appealing to the future generations so they can study and work in this industry. And we as an organization, we can survive with, a younger generation. So this is the plan. It's not, there will be some results achieved this year, but this is more of a long-term plan, and hopefully next leadership will follow. My goal is, as the current leader, to create more of a succession plan for the future, leave a better SKAL that, that will be more appealing for the future generation, at least initiate that. And then, let the next leadership take over and continue with it.
Thank you.
I hope this answers your question, Hocam.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Burçin.
Very good. Tekin Hocam, you were having a question?
Some comments, some questions. Burçin Başkan, I have come to sort of familiarize our international dignitaries at SKAL with the term Başkan. And
Yes.
I address Lavon Başkan. I think she loved it when we were all together in Eskişehir there. Starting with that, and we are proud of you. Not only Bilkent University, former Bilkentiers, but we are proud of you. And listening to you, we should be even more proud. A question from Aykut Hoca, and the answer you have come up with, it has been splendid. It has been sort of overpassing everything. We are happy there. I am also happy with the SKAL clubs in Turkey, with most of them. And being in the committee with Lavon Başkan and Paul and Julia there, and you initiated the first at the same time you were there. Now, looking at that, what we are talking about there, what people have written, the colleagues have written, I look at it and I see in front of me, for example, Akın Başkan, Murat Başkan, all of them there. And I think they are doing a great job as presidents, because we have in our system such a nice system that to become a SKAL club president, you go through so many nice steps that they are there. And you go up learning and learning and learning. And if you're a good one, they keep you for 2-3 years at the same place. Akın, that is how it happened there. So I am happy. I'm happy. What I want to say now, however, Burçin Başkan and that Murat Başkan is also there, is something very concrete. During the times of the pandemic, things were very difficult. And we have been, as you have mentioned, I don't want to make this too long. As you have mentioned, at Bilkent University, we had the young SKAL that we started. Such bright students who became young SKALs and they moved up. However, I may be a little ignorant at this time because I'm not in the administration. I was never a president anyway. But what I'm trying to say is, it was all of a sudden quite difficult to get a concrete example, to get a student of mine into SKAL. everyone said yes, said nodded in the administration, in the federation, but all of it, nothing came up because we said that we cannot hold ceremonies, and that we cannot hold ceremonies, we're not being able to have this induction, this intake. Now, I may be wrong, but I am a little sensitive here because come next month, April, it's going to be my 47th year as a colleague.
Oops.
47 years.
Wow, amazing.
Since
Congrats.
1975. And Burçin Başka, I don't want to step down. I shouldn't say step down, I was never up anyway. But I don't want to step out before I get somebody, one of my students, into my place so that I go, she comes.
Mhm.
That is the idea. Now, what is the situation? We don't have to go into the details. Young school, no more young school, students, schools, something like that, that I only hear about. I have not been able to read the bylaws, the new bylaws,
Mhm.
everything there. But that Murat is there, that you are there. What is the situation?
Yeah. So I think there's been a kind of a terminology confusion that has happened when Young SKAL professional category has been removed in 2020. Young SKAL student remains solid, never changed, is there, has always been there. So, and it's continuing. So if you have a Young SKAL student, they can become if you have a student who wants to become a Young SKAL, they can become a Young SKAL. The Young SKAL professional category was removed because it's been found that it has been not kind of abused. We had detected some Young SKAL professional members that were supposed to be full SKAL members, but they remained as Young SKAL, just to take advantage of the due difference. So there were a lot of thought brought up, and everything on this happens in the International Council. International Council discusses and brings to the executive board. So they proposed to remove Young SKAL professional category, and the executive board reviewed it and accepted it. However, since the beginning of this year, I've been telling all the area committee and national committee presidents, we are an organization, we can remove a rule, but if the membership wants something, it can always come back. You can bring anything you want. This is a membership organization. So the members rule this organization. So if you say, we want Young SKAL professional category, I said, well, bring back the proposal, but make it different than previous, because the previous one had some flaws. So make it solid, maybe limited to 2 years, Young SKAL professional, propose the dues to be in between student and professional. So it should be an in between. So it should not be too attractive for people to stay as Young SKAL professional, and bring it back, and we'll discuss it and approve it. It needs to go to the International Council. So Turkey's International Council is Asuman Tarma. She knows that too. So we informed her. So there are other, SKAL Europe, SKAL Asia is also pro to bring back the Young SKAL professional. So we are waiting. Once they discuss it on the council, bring it back to the executive board, we will discuss and approve it. So it is now, the ball is on the countries and the International Council, basically. But I'll tell you my observation on the Young SKAL. So I was on the Young SKAL committee. I was the Young SKAL committee chairman for 2020 in 2014. President Karim Kullanj that time assigned me. So, and the goal was to prepare a planning for Young SKAL in 2014, how it should be in 2020. So I created a committee, and there were some Young SKAL members. There were Young SKAL members that I invited from Turkey as well that time. And you know, there was a great planning done. And I pointed out there's something very important. And that was the time, those were the years when Young SKAL was really escalating, roaring. We did some great seminars. We were doing the World Congress for the Young SKALigs. The momentum was there. And I, you know, there were certain things that had to be done on the international level, and not to lose, because, you know, young generation, if you look into the characteristics of millennials, they like to be a part of something big, and SKAL is something big. They like to feel needed. The young generation, they want to feel needed. They want to know that you need them. You're going to praise them for what they do, and you're going to give them responsibility. They don't like to go to a meeting and just be walking around and not doing anything. They want to take on charge on things. So, and we did point these out, and the risk was there. And there was a high number of young SKALs recruited, but if you don't keep this young generation busy, if you don't give them what they are looking for, which is, it's not bad. We need the help. Clubs need the help to, you know, give them check-in responsibilities, some admin responsibilities. We could do that. But if we don't do that, any young SKAL that we lose is going to be a negative promotion for SKAL. And unfortunately, we had some young SKAL members leave with not fulfilled expectations. And I think that might have affected some of the future young SKAL members becoming a member. But I think, you know, what we need to do is, you know, and we also have to understand, young SKAL is not working for every club. That's what clubs are saying, which is fine. But we have to understand that we do need to spread the seed to the young generation. We all agree on that. So I think, you know, the best way to do this is, you know, we need to keep the options open for young SKAL, educate the clubs about young SKAL, what opportunities it can bring. But we also have to teach them to understand what responsibility it brings to them too when you have young SKAL. You cannot just have a young SKAL and just say, I have a young SKAL, and not do anything with them. You need to do something with them. You need to put them into work, or you need to give them an opportunity to speak sometimes, or you need to maybe, you know, you need to put them into work, basically. If not, they're going to leave. And when they leave, if they leave with good memories, it's good. If they leave with dissatisfaction, you know, they're not going to come back. So that's a risk, and that's, the clubs have to manage that. There are many clubs who've been very successful in young SKAL. I was in Mexico at the beginning of the year. There were 6 club presidents with the ages of 35 to 45. They're at the same time hotel general managers, and they were all coming from young SKAL background. They joined as young SKAL. They moved up to young SKAL professional. And then, but guess what? Once we canceled young SKAL professional, they moved up to full SKAL member. And then they're now club presidents. It was great to see that young generation. But again, after their presidency, what's going to happen? So my recommendation is for the national committees to be prepared when you have those young people. When you have them as presidents, you need to be ready to move them to the national committee too. So create a pool where you use their talent for a while and then move them to the national committees one by one. You know, I mean, we have to have a long-term succession plan. That's the key for us to create, you know, to make this organization younger and have young, you know, leaders in the pool. So, but to answer your question, I know I gave a long answer, but the question, to answer your question is, we still have young SKAL student. It never changed. The only thing that was removed was the young SKAL professional, and that's probably going to come back with the proposal from the countries again.
This case will come in front of you, Murat Başkan.
Thank you so much. Maybe I can add some words to my president, Burçin and Tekin Hocam. First of all, I want to congratulate all of the ladies International Women's Day. I'm so proud of the listening my president Burçin Türkkan today also. Young SKAL is actually from my corner, from Ankara SKAL Club. So good project because we have some opportunities for the mentorship for our students, and we are connecting to the industry professionals with the students, with the schools and with the industry, between the industry. For that reason, Young SKAL Professional is good model. We are working on it with our Asuman Başkan. I think in time, you will be on your table. It will be on your table, Mr. President, my President. And I think we will arrange some coordinates about the Young SKAL project, and it will be done again. Thank you.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
I
Very
hope so.
Very good. Actually, today, Maxim is with us. He is the strategic managing director of the Alliance by Institute for Vukus. We are a member of the Alliance for actually 2 years, I think. And he has, he is online, so he can ask his question himself.
I mean, that it's up to you, Eda. It can be also you asking the questions. It's perfect.
Thank you so much. I see your question here. Would you like to go ahead and ask?
Yeah. All right. I was wondering to know what was the most challenging thing in your professional life throughout your big journey. That was my question. Thank you so much for this very inspiring webinar.
Yes. Well, I think there are always challenges. It's, and actually the challenges the difference is the first time you experience a challenge with the less experience, you're like, oh God, I'm done. It's over. What am I going to do? But then, with experience now, it's like taking a deep breath and then I'm going to let this sit for a couple of hours or maybe even a day. And then, so the approach changes when you face an issue, a problem, a challenge in your business life. My first challenge was actually, when I started my business in Turkey, and everything was so new. We had the devaluation in Turkey, the financial, biggest crush in 2001, I think. It was, it was my big financial loss. It was what was happening was, the interest rates in the banks were really going high. And I do business, in US dollars. I have no business with Turkish liras, but there was this big, even my family member, like, you have to just for one night, you have to put your money in Turkish lira, you're making this much, interest rate and all that. I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. This sounds, like a bubble, and then I contacted my, financial consultant at the bank. And then she said, yes, you can do that one night. It won't happen. Nothing. It's just one night, and this is really high. I'm like, are you sure? And she's like, yes. I said, okay, I'm going to trust your advice and I'm going to do it. And I was going to a congress in Adana, a trade show. So, and I'm traveling. And what happened is the Turkish, the board, they went into the meeting at 4 o'clock and they never came out until midnight. And at that time, there was speculations going on that, there will be changes, and every transaction has stopped online in the banks too. So you cannot do anything, convert anything. And next morning I woke up with a 55% devaluation of my money that I had nothing to do. And I just took an advice. So I didn't listen to my own mind, my conscious, and I took an advice of a financial advisor, and the whole, chaotic thing was happening, and I went with it, and I had a financial loss. And that was a big lesson for me that, I always remember it, never will forget. So that's why I never rely on one resource now. When a crisis is happening around the world financially, I communicate with multiple parties, and I still get that information through my own analysis and listen to my guts. Is it right or not wrong? Because that was unnecessary for me being young, just starting the business with my own funds and, you know, having that hit. It was a big challenge for me to overcome. I did overcome, but it was at the same time a big lesson to, you know, don't go with the flow. Just step back and wait until things get back normal. Don't make, you know, just out of the line momentary decisions with pressure. You just have to, you know, take a step back, you know, listen to yourself, get at least 2-3 opinion about in a crisis, what do they think? And that's what I do now. As I, you know, when a financial, then we had the 2008 crisis, you know, I handled it better, you know, what happened around the world. And then, you know, with the pandemic, it was even better. And what I do is I always consult with multiple people. And now we're having this war crisis. So, you know, this whole year, that's why I created the committees. I mean, one leader is, you know, you can't do everything yourself. And I mean, I have one expertise, but if I work with a team, experts in different fields, I get their opinion and then make a decision. And that's what I think most of the world leaders are doing. I think that's the best way to do it. And when you're running your own business, I think you have to create that own environment. Always have a principle to take multiple opinions before making a decision, you know, stuff like that. So that was my challenge, the big economical challenge we had. And when I started my business, it was just a year and boom, like, you know, so yeah.
Thank you so much. Very inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ria has a question. Ria, would you like to turn on your camera and ask your question? What would you like to do? Ria is a student of
Yeah,
us.
sure.
Yes. Hello, Ria.
So
Hi,
thank
Ria.
you, Türkkan, for your inspiring story. It really means a lot to me listening these kind of stories because I am currently a student right now and I am trying to find my own direction, but I am currently a bit lost. So I think it means a lot for me to listen to your advice on starting a career.
Absolutely. Are you a senior student or?
I am currently a second-year student.
And you're studying 4 years?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you know, just take your time. My advice to you would be, I think, you know, the summer experiences are very important. You know, you definitely, it's important to know yourself, to understand what you like, you know, because in what I see is sometimes we get people, they studied 4 years finance, and then they come and say, you know, oh, I just started to work in finance. I'm working in a bank, but I don't want to work in a bank. I hate this industry. And then you look into the resume, they didn't do anything in the summers. They didn't do any internship to try out, to understand what they like. Do they like banking, or do they like, you know, working in a financial institution, or maybe just accounting, or maybe none of them. So summer experiences, spend always at least 2 months. Get some job experience, professional experience, to understand, what do you like? Do you like, you know, do you like to be, you know, frontline in communication with guests directly? Because sometimes people don't like it. They don't have that in themselves. Or do you like to work in the back of the office environment? You know, try the departments, different departments, to understand what fits your personality. And then, you know, because it's all about, you can only succeed as long as you're happy in what you're doing. So find your happy place in what you are studying, your strengths, where you feel strong, that, you know, you can execute better. And the only way to find that is having experiences. So spend every summer with some experience. And by, you know, year 4, you will have an idea, you know, what you like to do and where you would like to start your real career. Because especially in the last year, I don't know if you still have it, you have the long-term, you know, internship, the 4 months, you know, that gives you an even better idea what you really like. But during that time also, because we are in a fast-paced environment, and we are in a turning point in the industry because of the pandemic, now the war, technology is going fast. I would recommend to follow what's happening around the globe. Read, you know, I would recommend to look into, you know, like I myself, even I took AI classes. And when pandemic started, when I saw technology is shifting, I took IBM's AI classes to understand what AI is, what's coming next, how should I prepare myself, how should I prepare my business for the coming changes in the technology, how it's going to affect. So keep an eye on what's going on in the industry. And then, you know, by year 4, you'll have a better idea what you really want and where you want to start your career. And don't worry, things will be settled more by then. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know what I'm going to suggest? We wanted to start mentor-mentee program, but couldn't. But would you like to be our, you know, kind of first mentor-mentee couple? Burçin, you're the mentor, and Rüya, you're the mentee.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Yeah, I would love it.
Very good. You know, I'm going to share your emails.
Okay.
Or your, you know, you can communicate with WhatsApp, maybe your phone numbers, whichever you prefer. So you're going to be our first, you know, matchmaking.
Yeah, love it.
All right.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Would you like, Rüya? So you, whenever you have a question, you can have an answer. All right.
Excellent. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Okay, now it is like 8:10. So I'd like to conclude here if you don't have any other questions. Thank you very much for joining us today. Burçin, would you like to say a last word?
Thank you very much for having me again. It was a pleasure to have this, you know, warm talk with you all. You know, it felt really home. You know, it felt really nice being with everyone from, you know, Bilkent University. You know, I do really miss those days. Those were, I tell my daughter, oh, you know, just, this is, you know, just, these are the times you need to enjoy. And you will always remember, you know, especially when you start college, you will always want to stay in those years, because after that it goes so fast, and, you know, but you still, you know, in between things go fast, but what you remember is your university years. So yeah, I mean, those were great years. I do miss you all, and I hope to visit the school. Hopefully, as soon as I, you know, travel to Turkey, I will make a visit to say hi everyone in person, give a hug. So thank you very much again for having me, and again, happy International Women's Day to all of you, to all of my female professors. Güneş Hocam, so great to see you again.
Sevgiler.
Pleasure, thank you. And I see Akın Başkan. It's great to see you here. Alton, thank you to joining us. Aykut Hocam, thank you. Tekin Hocam, çok teşekkürler. And Murat Başkan, thank you very much. And it's nice to meet you, Maxine. And Rüya, we will be in touch with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you all.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and contributions.
Thank you. And thank you, Eda, for organizing this.
Thank you so much, Burçin. It was wonderful. With the help of, you know, technology, we'll be keeping this conversation, and, you know, this seminar is going to be lovely. Thank you so much, Burçin, and we wish you all the best and very proud of you.
Thank you.
It was
Much
really lovely to have you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.